think you're taking a chance on your life right now if you go to these large events. Right now, law enforcement say it's not a good thing to do. I mean, it's just the time, society we're living in. We've seen too many cases of gun violence going on, and this just seems to be a trend.
"20-year-old Taleese Chandler, affectionately known as Shine to her friends, was an outgoing and talented young woman who was known for her beautiful smile, personality, fashion sense, and ability to do hair. Taleese carried herself like a boss. Networking was her thing, as she was also a part of a local trail riding group called Top Tier Riders. She had hopes and dreams of opening up her own hair business and salon one day. Her focus was on point. In a January Facebook post, she stated, "The feminine urge to get closer with God, be pretty, make more money, and enjoy a happy life. The only life for me." Taleese made plans to hang out with her friends, as she normally did. They just wanted to have a good time, like most 20-year-olds. Little did anyone know, this would be a tragic decision that would change Taleese's life forever. On March 3rd, Clay County sheriffs responded to Club Oasis on Highway 45 alternate in West Point, Clay County, for reports of a mass shooting. Upon arrival, they would locate a chaotic scene with multiple people suffering from apparent gunshot wounds.
Deputies in Clay County are investigating a mass shooting at a club that left one woman dead and 11 others injured. It happened Saturday at the Oasis Lounge on Highway 45 just north of West Point. The victim was only 20 years old. The name of the person who was fatally shot has not officially been released. Other victims were taken to the hospital.
The victim was identified as 20-year-old Taleese Chandler, who was sadly pronounced dead at the scene after succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. The shooting also left a dozen others injured who are expected to survive. On that same night, in an act of bravery, a young man by the name of Colvin Hogan shielded his sister with his body, yet he suffered gunshot wounds in his back, resulting in his lung being punctured, which led to it bleeding profusely. His doctors inserted a tube into his chest for draining purposes. Nonetheless, his breathing still remains challenging as they hope that his lung recovers without requiring surgical intervention. An out-of-town promoter was hosting an event at the club that night, and around 95% of those in attendance were from surrounding areas. Law enforcement believes there may have been at least 3 gunmen involved in the attack, which they believed was pre-planned. Multiple caliber shell casings and a gun were located at the scene. Sheriff Eddie Scott with the Clay County Sheriff Department stated, "From the time they got there to when the shooting occurred, there was a very small window. It wasn't enough time for somebody to be arguing or fighting over a woman or something like that. It was pretty well within a short time frame that it happened." Officials had the perception that there had been some ongoing issues with different groups who were all at the venue that night. Security detail at the club believes one of the suspects ran into the woods after opening fire. They chased the suspect until they lost sight of him. According to management, the club had hired 14 security guards, and it's unclear how firearms were allowed inside. Roughly 20 witnesses have been interviewed, with a few providing false information. Now, if the witnesses fail to redact any of the statements, they could face potential prosecution. Clubs are required to have security cameras, but for reasons unknown, cameras were allegedly not working the night of the shooting. For years, there have been hundreds of complaints about the club, ranging from loud music to alleged drug activity and gunfire. Club Oasis has since been shut down and will not reopen until further information is provided. The community was left shocked and angry, with many taking to social media to pay tributes to a young woman loved by so many. A representative of the club issued a statement saying, "Our heartfelt prayers go out, and I urge anyone who witnessed anyone with a gun inside Oasis to promptly inform the Clay County Sheriff's Office with any information that could aid in achieving justice for Taleese Chandler. We are deeply saddened about the tragic loss of this beautiful soul and several others that were injured by such a senseless act of violence." The county is set to hold a meeting to discuss the future of establishments such as Club Oasis, while also encouraging the community to stay away from large gatherings. They stated, "These large gatherings right now are just not wise to do. We understand people want to go and they want to relax and they want to have fun, but look around us. Again, I think you are taking a chance on your life right now when you go to these large events. So we are just advising everybody to be careful. Parents, know where your kids are. Make sure they're not in an environment where they can get hurt."
People have been giving statements, but some of those statements have not been true. A main focus of this press conference was that there will be a consequence for untrue statements. He says there are consequences for it, and he went on to just emphasize that if you're going to give a statement, you need to be truthful in doing so.
I want to reiterate is that we know there are people that have information as to what occurred. Some of the questions indicate that the media is hearing some of the rumors, which is an indication that people have knowledge. We've got a carrot and stick approach. The carrot is the reward, the stick is the grand jury. If you got information, you got to decide which approach you want to take.
Colomb, along with Sheriff Scott, also say that ordinances are being enforced strictly. Colomb says the Oasis nightclub did not follow certain ordinances. Sheriff Scott says there were 14 security guards there. It still remains a mystery how guns were able to make it inside of that nightclub. There have been numerous complaints of this nightclub, and this has been going on for years now. He said there are literally hundreds of complaints from the nightclub. He told me those complaints range from loud music, drug activity, and traffic being blocked, and most importantly, numerous shootings and homicides. Today, the Board of Supervisors and law enforcement met to take necessary action to secure the community.
Well, the owners of the club actually stood up and told the Board of Supervisors this morning that they are voluntarily going to close the club, which is right now I've got the club shut down anyway and have no intentions of letting it open back up anytime soon. So the board did take that, what they said, under advisement, and are looking at any potential legal actions they could do to maybe prevent it from opening back up.
We have a plan that we're getting ready to implement to try to combat all this shooting, dealing with nightclubs, but we have
things.
Cameras. We got to update cameras. We got to get ordinance. We got to make sure they are abiding by what we have in place. It's not anything very hard. They just got to do what we ask them to do.
As of right now, no suspects have been identified, and law enforcement is encouraging anyone with information to come forward. The Sheriff's Office, West Point Police, the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Homeland Security, and the State Public Safety Department are investigating, and a $6,000 reward is being offered. The case remains ongoing.